Do you want money or pleasure? You've got to make a decision here. So if you answered this with, well, obviously I want money for the sake of pleasure so that I can have some pleasure in my life, then you're facing a very serious problem. And here's why. Pleasure is the number one way to take money away from people. It is the number one bait for making that happen. Dangle some pleasure in front of people, and man, they love to get rid of their resources. So you can see how if you're one of those people, that you have got a serious issue. If pleasure is the enticement that brings money away from you and takes it away, then you are facing a very serious problem. See, the most undisciplined people in the world are the easiest people to get money from. Just think about those that go on vacation that cannot afford it. They will throw thousands upon thousands of dollars onto a credit card that they absolutely cannot afford, and then they're going to labor and struggle under that for a long period of time. There are those that, for the sake of pleasure, they upmodel their car, and just for the sake of how the steering wheel feels, and how cool and how fast the air condition can get, and how many electronic features there are, and how it just integrates seamlessly with my tech. Because of that luxury, they are throwing hundreds of dollars out the door every single month. Anything that would also make things easier. So, like for instance, you go to buy a lawnmower and you're pushing, you want the push mower or do you want the self-propelled push mower? Well, obviously, I want to go with ease and pleasure and luxury. Well, if you're interested in that, why don't we get you the riding lawnmower? But if you're really interested in not like really overdoing it, why don't you just pay to have someone do it for you? This is the easiest and fastest way to take money away from people. Now, here's what I want to tell you on the other side of the coin. Not everyone is like that. There are men in the financial markets. There are men in the economic game that do not care anything about pleasure, but they care about money. And they are students of human behavior. And as such, and what makes this really bad and awful for you as the little guy is that they also have money and power to leverage against the person that doesn't have that. And so if they could, like, I can take my money and power and create just a little bit of pleasure here, I could bring in the dough. And that's what they do. So one of the things that you need to do is to identify. You absolutely need to identify why you don't feel good about yourself or the financial position or the position of life that you are in. What is it that's causing this kind of turmoil that you want to chase pleasure to make you feel good to offset those things? You really need to identify and grind down on this. You should actually stop the video right now and just make a list. Like, why is it? You need to meditate and contemplate. Why is it that I don't feel good about myself or the place that I'm in? And once you begin to identify that, then you can do something about it. So I would suggest, I'm gonna make a couple of suggestions. Number one, you should work on discipline for about 6 months. You should just work on absolute solid discipline for about 6 months and see if for 6 months that you could do without pleasure. Now that is a significantly hard challenge, but is it worth it? So I'm just gonna tell you, I have been working on my self-discipline on and off for 30 something years. Is it worth it? Absolutely. Even this morning, I did not feel it, guys. I did not feel it. And I was like, I'm sleeping in today. I'm going to sleep in. And slept in till 6 a.m. And then I got up and drank black coffee. Not cream and sugar. Oh man, those are pleasures. Those are delightful. I love the times of year when I can have some cream in my coffee and maybe the special exception every now and again of putting some sugar in my coffee, but no, discipline. And then I've got my daily habits of reading the scriptures every single day. And I've got, currently I'm working out 2, if not 3 times per day. And I have so many other habits that are in place. And you know what? It feels really, really good to have my discipline in place. And so you know what's not out of place and out of whack? Is when some pleasure pops up and you're like, oh, I've got to do something to feel good. I have to do something to make myself feel better. And so if I threw some money at that, maybe that would help. So if you worked on not spending anything for 6 months, where would you be at? Now, I know some are going to be like, are you silly? This is foolish. If I totally worked on my discipline for 6 months and I just cut every little thing out that I could, I'm only going to be up $200. Okay? Then we need to ask this question. Does it feel better to stop to get gas when you have $5 in the bank or $200 in the bank? Which feels better overall? So I wouldn't suggest trying to make this your ultimate goal is to cut out all pleasure, because most people, what's going to happen is they're going to springboard back from that and they're just going to go the opposite direction. So I would say like 6 months work, can I do without any kind of pleasure? And then after that, can I cut my pleasures down? Like I would allow myself some things, but definitely not everything that makes you feel good, because that begins to work against you and actually creates larger desires when you're letting your pleasures go unchecked and you can't fulfill all your desires, which I'll get to in a minute. So short term, cut out all the pleasures. Longer term, allow yourself mild amounts of pleasure. So, but finally, why do you not feel good about yourself and the position that you are in? Well, number one, there's nothing wrong with growing. There's nothing wrong with networking. There's nothing wrong with choosing a direction and setting a goal. Those things are actually very, very good. But one of the reasons you probably don't feel good is you're comparing yourself with other people in other circumstances, and you need to stop that. You need just to absolutely stop that. And the reason is because you are always going to have a state of lack. I've already talked about how to eliminate that for a second, or to cut it back. One of the ways you get rid of lack is you get used to the pain of discipline, and then lack of pleasure doesn't seem so awful, but you're never going to totally get rid of lack, whether you're disciplined or undisciplined. And I'm going to give an example. Just got through reading about a 500 to 600 page book about Andrew Carnegie, the richest man in the world from like the 1900s to the 1950s. And he became the richest man in the world. I don't know how long he held the title for, etc. But he was worth about $300 million pre-1950. So can you imagine the pleasures he had? Like, I can tell you some of them. He bought a castle, and it wasn't large enough, so he extended it to, I think he added like 40,000 square feet to the castle or whatnot, and he had 22,000 acres, and he had that was his, I think it was his summer home, and then he had his winter home in the U.S., and then he had his city home, and then he had his country home, and he traveled and did whatever he wanted to do. But did he get rid of lack? He didn't get rid of lack. A couple of things that he really lacked is like he lacked political power and influence the way he wanted it. Not that he wanted to be a politician, but he would write letters all the time trying to correct presidents and kings and whatnot, and they wouldn't completely listen to him. They disagreed with him, and he was like, man, if they would just do this. He also lacked world peace. He never got world peace. He set up a world peace foundation and tried to build a world peace center. I think he actually got that accomplished. But in doing those things, he still never got world peace and actually had to go through World War II and like see it happen. So he lacked that. He also lacked friends. When he gets to the end of his life, he talks about his dogs were his best friends. Yikes. He also lacked control of the charity that he he was giving away money and giving away money, couldn't get rid of it fast enough, so he decided to start a charity. He put the money in charity, and for it to actually be a real charity, he had to put other people in charge of it, not like some terrible charities today where people give money to themselves, but they act like they're giving it to the public. Anyhow, but Andrew Carnegie set up this foundation, like a real foundation, to do charitable work, and then he would make suggestions, and they didn't listen to him. So he lacked in that area. So the reason I'm sharing these things with you is that you can have all the money in the world and you're still going to lack things. You are going to lack all the pleasure that you could ever seek. And anytime you do feel at one pleasure, you're just going to desire more and more pleasure. So if you will cut back on these things, if you will work on discipline for a time and start getting your feeling of who you are, because you are a disciplined person and being disciplined feels good. And especially if you start disciplining your finances and getting control of that and start being run by pleasure, then you'll quit biting the hook that is actually taking away so much of your resources, and you're going to find yourself in a much better place.